So here we go again. Gym Guys Podcast on YouTube with Eric Schwartz, Jason Budsock, Chris Scotto, Drago 1850. Great to see everybody. Hopefully you joined us for the last episode where we had Evan Centopani on talking about life and investing and training and nutrition. Just a lot of great tips. So we hope to have more podcasts like that. And today we're just going to basically talk about a few topics that we feel are top of mind or trending, and kind of want to talk about the way we all train. Each one of us train in a different way, or how we've developed our training. And either Jay or Eric, if you want to start off with that, we'll kind of share our training styles with you and our backgrounds.
I'm going to start off with some breaking news. I can't believe I'm going to say this on air, and I can't believe I'm actually going to do this. Something I swore I would never, ever do.
This is completely unrehearsed, by the way.
I'm about to do this tomorrow, and I'm surprised. I shouldn't even be admitting it, but we like to be authentic and honest here. And I am going to go tomorrow and step foot in for the first time ever someplace I said I would never step foot in.
Planet Fitness?
I am going to a Planet Fitness.
Wow. As soon as you said that, I was like,
I'm making a sacrifice for someone else. I don't think I'm going to be working out there, so that'll be my saving grace. I'll save my
shock the world. You shocked the world.
Yes, I'm shocking the world. So my nephew just started working out, got into it. He does belong to Planet Fitness, and he's my nephew, he's my family. And he did it. He doesn't drive, he's very young, and he can walk to Planet Fitness. So I said, okay, it's fine. You can go to Planet Fitness, but he needs to learn how to use the machines properly and use the weights properly. So I'm going to go there. My instinct was, hey, I want to take him to Skiba's. I want to take him to Apollon. And you know what? I am going to take him to some of those places, but he needs to learn how to use the equipment where he's training. So I'm going to sacrifice my soul and step to Planet Fitness tomorrow.
That's a big step.
Integrity is no longer important, Eric.
I'm going to hand over money to pay them to go there. It's sick. I'm nauseous about it.
I have to tell you, they were pretty good to me during the pandemic. My buddies that own Mission Nutrition, which we're going to have them as guests too. Can't wait to share their stories about how they worked for UNFI and how they grew up with this thought of, lifestyle and nutrition. Just their store is very unique. Eric, you've seen it before.
Yeah.
Jay, I hope to take
you. They carry my dog butter, actually.
That's right. They carry the poor power dog butter. And great bunch of guys. And anyway, I was working, helping them with those events, like keto events and whatnot, just fun stuff. I loved interacting with customers, and they're just great guys. And then we have a great dinner next door afterwards, like the Italian place or whatnot, back when I could eat that food. And Planet Fitness was right next door, and I'd go there and they'd be like, oh, do you know the guys next door? And I said, yeah. They're like, train. You could always come and just train for free whenever you want. And, I got to tell you, during the pandemic, I trained there, and whether it was using their equipment or just getting some sort of movement in. Yeah, I know, Eric, you're grimacing. I know. But you know what? It was stimulation. I was able to do a machine instead of going to the park and doing pull-ups and push-ups, and it was kind of a treat. Although training with a mask just sucks. That's like a sin. That's like a sin right there.
Let's not. But
hey, you're doing the right thing. That's for your nephew. You said.
My nephew. Yes.
Yeah. Is he the one that calls Daddy C-Bomb? Is he the one that's into?
No, that's my other nephew. He's a little bit older. He's into training too, which is cool. But he's
I bet you he doesn't train at Planet Fitness.
No, he does not. He has dignity and
pride.
Taught him
well.
But he also has a car, and he can go wherever he wants. My nephew Noah, does not have a car. He's young, so
I remember
some slack. I'm just happy he's doing something,
right?
related to fitness, health. I'm happy
absolutely.
About
that. I know we joke about Planet Fitness, but it's actually a good place for kids.
Planet Fitness is better than no fitness. Did I just say that? Jesus.
I like that.
That's right. As long as you're doing something, you're going somewhere and you're trying to improve yourself, that's a great thing. I remember
that anyway, right? So
you can. I remember too, there was a young buck, he was training, and unfortunately he might not have had much he was in the beginning stages of just developing his training. and he was posing in the mirror, you know, and I was just like, all right, I can't even look over there right now. You know, it's just, he's posing like a, you know, a regular body, if you will, but he was trying. And he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, hey, do you mind? Can you take a couple of pictures? I want to see if I'm getting my poses right. And I want to look back at them later and all that. So I said, okay. So long story short, he finishes up. He's like, I'm like, that's not how you hit it. You should be doing it this way or doing it this way. He's like, oh, he's like, you seem like you've competed before. I'm like, yeah, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Yes, I competed. But my whole point is, I said, do yourself a favor. Go watch some old footage of Lee Labrada. Punch it up in your phone. You know, punch it up in your phone with YouTube, Lee Labrada, Francis Benfato, Sean Ray. I go, and you'll see what posing is. And of course, he talked about C-Bum. I'm like, yeah, C-Bum poses phenomenal. Many people in the classic physique really hit some great poses. I go, that's what you want to watch. Watch that and then come back and try to mimic it. That's the way to go. So really, people can learn really no matter where they go, any gym.
Yeah. You like to see people trying at least, right? Like they might not know what they're doing, but hey, they're out there. They're trying to do something. Some people might think it's silly, but they're doing it.
Everybody's on their own journey, their own path.
Yeah.
I never make fun of anybody in the gym. You don't know what they've been through. You know, you don't know what stage they're at.
Yep.
Look, we've all been there. Like when I started, I was a skinny kid. I'm sure you guys are similar. You know, when I tore my bicep and went back in the gym and I'm using a 5-pound dumbbell, somebody could have looked at me and laughed, but they didn't know that I just had surgery, right? You know, you just don't know what stage somebody's at the time. So
there may be videos on the internet where we're teasing you. I apologize. It was funny. It was funny.
Every time I was doing warm-ups, Jay would decide to film my warm-up sets.
I do remember those before I even knew you guys.
If we had video capabilities to show that, right? Like on a replay, that would be amazing.
Yeah. You got a couple of dumbbells thrown at you for that.
Those are fun times, all right?
That was Angry Dad. The birth of Angry Dad.
The birth of Angry Dad.
Actually, no, it was really Juliet who set off Angry Dad at the drive-through at Taco Bell. But that's a story for another time.
I have that video too.
You do? Wow.
Yeah, I have that video.
Wow. All right. So let me just throw this out to you. So based on that, to you guys, when you pull up to a drive-through, you should already know what you want, correct? You're not there to peruse the menu, right? Am I wrong? Because that's where I lost my shit when she just started like perusing the menu. That's not the time to do it at the drive-through. Am I wrong, Kris? Tell me if I'm wrong. You could tell me if I'm wrong.
I agree with you.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I'm guilty of it.
All right, so here's the crazy thing. So, all right, maybe it was her first time there, right? But no, when we pulled up to the window, the lady at the window knew who she was. She'd been there like all the time. It's not like a first time seeing the menu.
Yeah.
You go up to a drive-through, you got to know what you want.
I admit, I'm very particular. I don't like to hold people up. That's my big thing. Is I don't like if I'm
Stay
driving
in the parking lot, look at the menu.
I'm not going to be the one to hold you up.
There you
go. I haven't experienced a drive-through in quite some time.
Wow.
Maybe I'll visit it this Saturday night.
For cheap meal.
Yeah. But so you're not going to train, but you're going to go to Planet and you're going to do the right thing. And
I'm going to go train myself early in the morning, and then I'm going to take him to Planet later in the afternoon and
get a picture at Planet Fitness just for.
I want that
so
for
use it for future purposes.
It won't leak anywhere.
Yeah, right.
We won't leak it anywhere.
Oh my God.
You got to do that. You actually have to.
I might.
A picture there. Maybe with the lunk alarm, right?
Just for fun. Maybe I could set it off or something. I don't know. That'd be cool.
Throw it down.
That would be pretty cool. And then what do you usually train, Eric? Are you doing powerlifting tomorrow type training, or are you doing?
My training tomorrow is going to be legs, but I've actually been doing. So my training now is kind of a hybrid of bodybuilding, powerlifting. I'm doing more hypertrophy work, but the big three, the bench, squat, and deadlift are incorporated into all of it. So I will do that movement first, and then the other movements will be more bodybuilding movements, more bodybuilding sets and reps, more volume.
Okay.
My goals currently are I'm actually trying to get leaner, and we always want to put on muscle. So, I'm in more of a hypertrophy, getting leaner stage, as opposed to a power strength phase, which I would if I was getting ready for a powerlifting competition.
Love it.
Got it. What about you, Jay?
Actually, very similar. Like Eric, I think because we have that powerlifting background, I always focus on the big movements, so the big three, but also even on shoulder days, like I'll do a shoulder press. For back, I'll focus on like a row movement, like usually typical barbell rows. I know it's not cool with the hypertrophy kids, but I just like the movement. So I train for myself, but then I do additional hypertrophy movements after I get in my main movement. I just like training with dumbbells, barbells. That's like my key thing. And then I add, a machine if it's applicable, but I could survive without machines just because I purely love training with weights.
Cool. Okay. And
How about you, Kris?
I'm different. I'm a little bit different than what you guys do. For me, yes, I think we said it once before on one of the earlier episodes. I definitely was a machine junkie. Definitely got good stimulation from machines. Whether I improved a little bit or I prevented injury, I kind of was just still going with that. And I typically do go with, hey, if it's available, I'm not going to wait online for a machine or a barbell. I'm going to kind of go with the flow of how busy the gym is. And typically when I go, it shouldn't be as busy, but I got to tell you, these last 4 or 5 weeks have just been absolutely insane.
It's January. It's normal.
It's January. Yeah. Hopefully. And I've had to divert from some of the training regimen that Evan had suggested, where I couldn't even grab a free barbell to do barbell rows. Not one was available. They were all on every bench. Everyone was using. People were using for deadlifts. People were using for rows. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to stand around. I can't stand when people like stand around, wait for you to finish like something. So I move on and I find another machine. I just make the most of it. And
should we get Evan back on the podcast?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, he'll know. He'll know
so
when
you're
I
not following the program.
He'll know when I report to him.
You just admitted you're not following it 100%. Just for the record, it's on there.
It's fantastic. He'll know when I report to him. He'll be like, any change from the protocol? Yeah, I did machine cable rows for as many sets as I can to make up for barbell rows. But no, pretty much, to what you guys were alluding to, a little bit more like Eric. I'm definitely doing more hypertrophy, definitely in that 10, 12, 15 rep range, 12 to 18, depending on what I'm doing. But just a lot of volume. I was kidding around with you guys before when we were talking, and it's just, Evan will be like, hey, you feeling stronger? You feeling more energetic? And there are times that I do, but there's a day or two where I'm just like, damn, I'm fatigued, and it's just making sure you're keeping up with your water. Are you so used to maybe being on stims with your pre-workout that when you finally take a day where you're not doing it, you're like, wow, I feel it, so, but definitely been enjoying that continued bodybuilding type training. And I am seeing detailed differences. I definitely am. I'd say the biggest thing I've gotten from this so far that's been really rewarding is, if legs were my stronger part, I still found improvement in legs, especially for me for hamstrings with what he's got me doing. Chest as well, triceps as well. I would often neglect doing my tries if I had to squeeze in a workout and I knew I kind of worked it with shoulders and I kind of worked it with chest, so I wouldn't really focus. So it's been kind of fun to kind of refocus on some of those body parts and just kind of get back to some basics. But I'm probably in there too long. I can't seem to finish my training in less than 80 minutes.
Wow. What takes you so long, Kris?
I really do. I have to set myself up. And as I get into the deeper sets, if I'm not satisfied with it, let's say I miss a rep range, I'm going to make up those reps on the next set. So if I was supposed to do 12 and I only got to 8 or 9, I'm going to find those other 3. Might take a little bit of rest, but I'll find those other 3. So I like to have that in the back of my mind. And the last thing I'll say before I shut up is I like to think that you guys are there or Evan's there pushing me. I really do. I mentally think about those things like, what would they say? I don't want to disappoint me, and I don't want to disappoint them. So I kind of use that as well. Yes, I listen to motivational music. Yes, if one of the gym members that we always say hi that, is, you just got a good rapport with, talks for a little bit. Yeah, I talk a little bit. I do. But
Nah, you kidding, Kris.
I did say to a young gentleman or gentleman's the other day, that's not a word, I know that. I was using the leg extension, or I'm sorry, leg press. And there was 3 guys, and I was doing my set. And they're like, how much longer you got? I'm like, I just started. You're more than welcome to work in. I always say this for anyone that's watching it. Please don't think that you own the machine at a gym. Please. It's your name's not on it. Yes, you're a member, but your name's not on it. I really think you got to find a way to have people work in and find a way, unless there's an army of 10 people waiting online. But 2 guys, 3 guys total, you should be able to work in. So I said, tell you what, I go, you can work in if you want. I just start. He's like, yeah. He's like, we got a lot of sets, we're going to be here for a while. I'm like, so am I. I go, just do me a favor. Just don't look at your phone and bullshit. That's all I ask. And, I might have came off like a jerk, but he accepted it, or they accepted it well. And we got to training well. And, lo and behold, these guys were doing single-legged presses. I was like really impressed. And, hey, sometimes they put their phone in like the middle of the gym floor. I'm like, hey, you want to move that over? Someone's going to step on that. Everyone just like puts their stuff all over the place. So it was good to be able to work in. I'm finding that more and more. Like, as long as I'm open to it, or anyone's open to it, I say, it's not, my name's not on the machine, or this barbell, work in.
Let's talk about phones in the gym. I've been thinking about this a lot, and there's like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the old school mentality versus the new school. And I used to have that old school mentality where, when phones first came out, I was like, oh, they should be in the locker or in your gym bag. You shouldn't look at your phone. But my thinking has evolved since then quite a bit. One, we use our phones for so many things nowadays, right? Music's on there. Some people have their workout on there or log their workouts on there. Some people record their training. And I'm not opposed to recording. I make fun of sometimes with people have like these elaborate tripod setups, and there's too many tripods in the gym, but I'm not opposed to recording your training as long as you're focusing on your training, right? Absolutely. I'm not even opposed to people, even if they wanted to text or something in between sets. Okay. But when it comes time to do your set, your head better be in the fucking game.
Yeah.
That's my thought now. Let me hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I was going to say, my take is it's 2022, 2023. Like I hear people say like Arnold didn't use it. Well, Arnold didn't have a fucking phone he'd be taking at the selfies. Gym. I'm sure he uses it now, or
he would be taking selfies.
If he grew up in this environment, he wouldn't have a phone. So my take is, as long as it's not throwing off the flow of your sets, like you should take a certain amount of time in between. People talk and they waste time in between. To me, it's the same thing. Everything's a distraction, and you just have to minimize it, get your work done, whether it's a phone, whether it's talking, whether it's whatever it is. Just, stick to your routine.
Right. You just got to be ready to go when that set starts. The one thing that I will say that I don't like about the current culture of like the tripods, fine, you want to record. There's this rash of videos like on TikTok where somebody's recording their set and somebody will walk in front of the camera and the person who's doing the set gets upset. Now you've ruined your set because somebody walked in front of your camera. You got upset. Somebody walked in front of a public gym. A bomb should go off during your set and should not distract you. Yes. If somebody walks in front of it, they walk in front of it. You're going to keep doing my set. It's not going to phase me one bit, man. So that part is upsetting because now you're taking away from your training.
Well, now we got to get Guy Sisternino on this show. We can talk about when guy got interrupted while he was doing hack squats, and the guys were talking. He's like, "You guys got to move. You got to get away."
That was a little bit. I did see that video. That was a little bit much.
Yeah, but that was a bit of an overreaction.
It is what it is, right? I'm sure he's paying people to record that or whatever it is. Yeah. But still,
and he's training for something big or whatever it may be. Yeah, you get your gym face on. That's for sure.
Yeah, focus.
I think when people are probably the worst is if they're on a machine and man, do I witness it and observe that they're on the machine for a while and they're just holding the phone and they're just sitting on the machine. It's like, I did 2 sets while you were just staring at your phone and you're not breaking a sweat. So that's a huge thing. That's a huge pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, to me, it's just a lack of focus and lack of purpose in the gym. Like you should be in and out.
Yeah, you're there to get work done.
So
Who's running
true.
I hear somebody running on a treadmill.
No,
That's,
that was
I'm in the basement. My heater's
that
heater's
was,
going, and I can't.
It
That
sounds
was
like a
the-
treadmill.
that was the pitter
Running
patter
on
of
the
everyone
treadmill.
coming home.
I thought Jay was doing I thought he had one of those walking desks and he's getting his
I'm
steps.
gonna
in.
go. I've seen, yeah.
I actually have one. I have one to like work on, while I'm working from home, I could actually be on like a treadmill or moving my feet. You're gonna
Really?
hear it though.
I've
so
seen it,
it's-
but I don't know if I could like type and write emails and do that while I'm walking. I don't think I could do that.
I'm gonna
It
give
could
a
be
quick shout
challenging.
out to our buddy Lucas who watches these. He gets 50 to 60,000
Insane.
steps a day.
Insane.
I don't know how he does it, but he said
But-
that part of his routine is that he does work on a walking treadmill. I can't work that way. I have to type. I have to
Yeah.
I don't
But
know
he
how
did-
people do that.
He
Like
did
Chris,
say
how do
to
you
me,
do that?
Oh.
How do you focus? And is it during
It's-
certain times?
Yeah, it's only in small spurts. If you're used to doing a sit and stand desk,
Yeah.
you probably could adapt to it a little bit more. But then it's kind of like what you said, kind of rubbing your stomach and tapping your head at the same time. So
Like you're
it
typing and walking.
yeah, it could be a little difficult. Start sweating while you're typing. But but listen, if it's another way of getting that activity in, I mean, we all notice it. I certainly notice it sitting at my desk. You get that fatigue, and then when you get up, and even if you just go into the restroom, you're like, darn man, I got to move.
sitting's one of the worst. I sit a lot and driving and at a desk, and your hip flexors get so tight, your glutes shut off. I strained my lower back recently because of that, because my glutes were just not activated.
That's not good.
Yeah, I could definitely vouch for that. I definitely feel the difference of days I stand. Maybe I'm out in the field walking a lot more versus you get caught up, for hours at a time just sitting, and it's not good. So what else we want to talk about? I know we're talking about just kind of some of our training or training styles and what's working for us. What's new and up and coming or trending these days in the supplement world? Oh, well, in the magazine world. Does anyone know what a magazine is who's watching this?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it because I have the virtual background, so I don't know if you guys can see, but it is the new Muscular Development with Sean on the cover.
I have that.
You do?
Yeah.
It's cool. I knew he was on it, but I was walking through
Yep.
my local shop, right, food shop, and there he is on the shelf, and I was like, damn, I gotta pick it up. It's freaking $7.99 for that thing. Everything's gone up.
Everything's
But
set up.
I had to get it with Sean on it. Sean's such a good dude, and I loved having the magazines. Something about a physical magazine. I don't know if you remember, Jay. I had just about every magazine from like the '90s, and I brought them into Universal. They're probably still there somewhere. I brought them in for like research.
Yeah, Gary Turner was looking for them, and we couldn't find it, so we don't know if they're
I hope they didn't
archived
trash 'em.
somewhere. I hope
If you ever
I hope
find them,
not.
let me know.
Yeah, we'll have to take a deeper look.
But there's something cool about flipping through a magazine. Obviously, it's not the same. I mean, it's like not even a quarter of the size that it used to be because people don't advertise in it like they used to. Although I'm still surprised to see some of these companies spending money on print advertising. That actually very
I
surprising.
can't remember if we're in there, if we have.
I didn't. Not in this
any animal
issue.
ads.
There's no animal
can't
ads in
remember.
this issue. I hope you're
I
not
think-
spending it on print advertising. I love the magazines, but don't spend your money on print advertising if you're.
I would agree on that too. Yeah, Jay or Eric, if you ever need to reference any mags, I definitely have a crazy collection. My dad, God bless him, he turned 87 yesterday.
Wow.
He threw out a lot of my magazines when we moved from New York to California, and I'm like, what? When he moved from California to Florida. And I was like, what are you doing? You're throwing away my Dorian Yates, Kevin Horton famous photo shoot, and he's on the cover, with the black and white photos in the 92 to 93 Olympia. Yeah, I have a lot. And yeah, you did used to enjoy going through them when they had a lot more substance to them, when it was, that was your way to get updated on a contest, right? That was your way to learn about different training strategies. That was certainly your way to learn about, supplements. And then, they have recommendations to buy books about supplements, if you will. Right. So, I miss those days because especially when they were more like $2.99, $3.99, $4.99.
I'm really gonna age myself here, but back when they had magazines before the internet, if you wanted to know who won the Olympia and you didn't attend, you could call a 900 number and there'd be a recording and you'd pay per minute. And of course, they didn't tell you who won right away. They gave you a description, a slow description of like the top 10. And so they keep you on the phone for like 5 minutes until they tell you who won the actual.
That's crazy.
So true. So true. Was that American Muscle? I know I did it.
I don't remember. It could have been. And then you'd have to wait a month for the magazine to come out to see the actual photos, like to see what the guys look like.
I tell my family, like, shut up, I'm on a very important phone call right now.
Well,
listen to the Olympia results.
Yeah, and there were stories that people would call up Gold's Venice the next morning, and the guy at the front desk would tell them who won the Olympia.
That was true. Yeah.
And now we have instant access. We can watch it live. It's crazy how
that's amazing. I never knew that happened. That's crazy.
Yes, very, very true.
Something cool about going through the magazines, though, and I love looking at the old supplement ads and stuff, and the old Weeder ads. They were like the best at the time, and then Animal took it to a whole other level. So,
what would be your most memorable magazine? Do you have one in your mind, or Jay, that you remember? Like you're like, I got to get that. Like just like right now, you were stimulated. Of course, Sean Carita, you guys got a great relationship. He's an awesome dude, so you feel obligated to get it too. But any magazine that ever caught your eye, like, holy cow, I got to get that issue.
Yeah, it's good. Me or Jay?
Either one of you.
I was gonna say, for me, it was I had a subscription in the 90s to Flex. So I thought that was cool. Like, to me, there was Flex, Muscular Development. I think there was Iron Man, Muscle and Fitness. But to me, I have to admit, at one point, I really liked bodybuilding. So it was Flex that really called out, because that was the hardcore one out of the bunch, I thought.
Yeah, true.
What were you going to say, Eric?
Well, the one that sticks out in my mind, I was going on a family vacation. Maybe I was 15 or 16 or whatever, and bought a Muscle and Fitness in the airport, and it had Dolph Lundgren on the cover from the movie He-Man. And that's kind of like, I just read that like flying down to Florida, and that kind of got me hooked. So that one always sticks out in my mind.
Yeah. I think for me, probably when Flex started doing covers that had multiple images on the cover, almost comic book style, where they'd be like, here's Kevin Levrone and Porter Cottrell training in the one corner, and then they'd have, learn about Dorian Yates's, style. And then there'd be an old school picture of Mike Menser and his high intensity, heavy duty training. And when I used to see magazine covers like that, I'd be like, wow, oh my God, there's so much stuff in that magazine. I got to get it. That was probably early to mid 90s was that wave of Flex magazine. Gaspari was still in it at the time. Eddie Robinson was making his comeback. He was still in it at the time. So I remember those, and definitely the photo shoots, whether the guys were just getting into shape for contest or post contest.
Yeah.
I definitely would get motivated by that.
Yeah, I remember following. Do you hear
Yep, we hear it.
Someone's hungry?
Was that my stomach? There you go. I was going to say, one thing I loved about the magazines was I didn't know much about training. So everything I learned was either the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia Bodybuilding, or buying the magazine and following the training routines. So it'd be like every month, I didn't know better, right? Like I would change my training routine based on what I saw in the magazine, because it's like, these guys must be following this. They're huge. I got to follow this, right?
They must be drinking that protein shake. That's it.
Yeah, doing this. Yeah, they have this diet. They have this. And so it's like, I don't know if you guys did that with the training routines in particular, but I just loved the training routines, and I would read about that and be like, oh my God, this is how you get huge. You got to squat, you got to do these hack squats after, and then you got to do the leg, whatever, like exactly how it was listed in the magazine.
Yeah.
Did you guys follow the training routines at all, or?
I didn't follow them to the T, but I would pick up little tidbits here and there.
Gotcha.
I would definitely follow them to the T and destroy myself.
Yes.
I remember Terry Pastel or Serge Nubret, right? I think they both were similar in somewhat stature and training, they start off their back workouts with 18 sets of chin-ups or pull-ups. And there's just no way you're doing anything else afterwards.
That's the workout right there.
Yep.
So
And
Kris,
then
did you do that? Would you?
I tried to. They're horrible. And then one other one that comes to memory is Lee Priest. 20 sets for bis and tris. You know, he's like, let's get at it. And it's like, no, not 20 sets for bis and tris. Yeah. It's quite difficult to recuperate after that.
That's right. I remember one tidbit from the first animal athlete that I met was Andrew Giordaniello, the machine. I remember one of his things was, what do you want to recover from? Like, so his takeaway was that if you want to have a big physique, do you want to spend 8 hours training arms, or do you want to be, build your body and then have the time to recover from the big muscle groups? So he would always, again, this was a takeaway from the early days, but he would always say, focus on the meat and potatoes, the big stuff. And then you spend less time on the smaller body parts. Again, like that was just advice I remember at an early age that I took away.
Kids on TikTok would argue with you.
Yeah. They would tell me, otherwise. Yeah. Again, that was early days.
And speaking of the magazine and the influence it had on us and the supplement advertisements, I know we wanted to talk about creatine today and kind of the hype that's going on out there, if you want to call it that, with HCl versus monohydrate. I mean, you can't have two better people here to talk about their experiences with, the more, tried and true creatine versus the creatine HCl right now. And, what's worth your money, what's worth trying, what differences you might be able to expect. So why don't we get into that? Because creatine is just probably the most tried and true supplement kind of out there, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me bring up in the background here, because I knew we were going to talk about this. There's a summary that was just published in when was it? 2021 by the leading researcher for creatine is this gentleman named Rick Kreider. And so he's been studying creatine since the 90s. This guy knows everything about creatine. Actually, it was published, in 2022. So it's relatively recent. And there's a chart in this that basically gives you the takeaway if you took every source of creatine, on the bottom is all these obscure sources. You got your gluconates, your, I don't even know, what does he have? Ethyl ester. And then it goes up to that's no evidence. There's no evidence for some of these creatines because there's been no studies done on a lot of these unique creatines that somehow got some marketing play. And then you move up a tier, you get into some that have a little bit of evidence. And that's actually where they put creatine HCl along with a magnesium creatine chelate, a buffered creatine. But at the top, and it's far above everything else, is creatine monohydrate. And basically their summary is that strong evidence. It is the most studied form of creatine. So anything that, we're seeing with creatine HCl, there's 10 studies and they're not well done. So anything that you see with creatine XL is usually stretching science and it's manipulating it because it's not well done.
Wow, 10 studies. How many studies is there with creatine?
Maybe they added a couple since, but it's really not well done.
And what would you say monohydrate has? What, thousands?
So it's
studies?
Probably in the thousands at this
point.
Creatine monohydrate. So there is a strong body of work with creatine monohydrate at the dosages that are recommended. With creatine HCl, I think a lot of companies recommend a low dose, but there's nothing really to support a 1.5 gram dose or anything that's lower. The studies were not well structured. If anything, maybe there's the theory that I saw through some of the studies is that maybe if you bump HCl up to 5 grams, you may be then getting into the potential of tapping into the benefits of creatine. But again, then that defeats the purpose and the price would be through the roof because of
At the end of the day, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, they both do the same thing.
At the end of the day, they should do the same thing, but although creatine HCl doesn't have enough to support it at the dosages that they're recommending. So what I saw from one of the studies is that maybe 5 grams, but I think that goes against the price of it is very expensive. And it goes against what a lot of the companies are pitching, that it's that it absorbs better or whatever it is. It doesn't absorb better. It absorbs the same. Once it gets into your body, like maybe it dissolves better in water, but once it gets into your body, there's HCl in your stomach. What's going to happen? It's going to go digest the same way. So it's a lot of like fluffy science that's been skewed.
Well,
but there might be something there at the same. There would have to be more studies done, but maybe if you're getting into the 3 to 5 gram range or above that, that's where you would potentially see the same benefits.
Right.
But at 1.5, I don't see it based on everything I looked at.
Well, let's talk about why companies do it.
There's definitely some hype out there.
Well, everybody's selling creatine monohydrate, right? So at some point it becomes almost like this commodity, right? And these companies want to be different, stand out, have some kind of value proposition, marketing edge. And we've seen it over the years. I mean, I remember when you mentioned creatine ethyl ester before, Jay, that was hyped on the bodybuilding.com forums and people were swearing it was better than monohydrate and all this stuff. And turns out that it wasn't.
It wasn't. And I admit with Animal, we did get into some of the other creatines, but I feel good about it because we always used a more efficacious dose. I think where I don't like the science was that they're using very low dosages, and there's nothing to support low dosage of any form of creatine. That you really need to get 3-5 grams, potentially higher than that, to be able to get it into the body at an efficient rate. So,
and there's so many benefits to creatine beyond just like the bodybuilding benefits, right? I mean, I've read stuff about cognitive benefits, protection from concussion, something to that effect too.
Yeah. Right? Yep. If you play a sport like soccer, for instance, where it surprisingly has a lot of concussions, they recommend creatine. There's so much. It's the one I would say the takeaway, everyone should be taking creatine. Like it should be blasted out there that there's so many additional benefits beyond strength. I mean, we all need strength as human beings, right? For our muscles. We don't want weak muscles. So I would say everyone take it. Unless you have kidney problems, take it. You're going to tap into some really good benefits. And it's not super expensive, creatine monohydrate.
Right. So there was a price increase like last year. Is that still the case?
It was bad. It was bad. The market, what we were paying for creatine went up, let me see, 6 to 8 times. I forget what we were paying in early 2021. It shot through, and that's all you could get. Like if you wanted to maintain a creatine supplement, you had to pay for that from the raw material supplier, because there was a limited in China. The raw material used to make it was even the Creapure. They don't realize the starting part of Creapure starts in China.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
And then it's made in Germany though. But I forget what it's called, but it's the starting material. It all comes from China. A lot is made in China. That doesn't mean it's bad. I think people give it a bad name, but if you test it, it may be purer than Creapure. So you got to, let's just say we have some interesting lab tests that show that creatine in general is very pure. It's not hard to make creatine monohydrate these days.
Now, is it true that it can't be made in the United States? And I don't know all the details, but it has something to do with the emissions from making creatine. Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you kind of explain that?
I don't know the details, but I believe there is quite a bit of waste product produced that, or maybe uses a lot of energy as well.
Right.
That right now at the moment, I don't think it's sufficient to produce it in the US. So
that's why there's no US.
Other countries. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting. We learned.
Would you say other takeaways, Jay or Eric, if someone asked you or someone told you or thought, hey, I heard HCl doesn't make you retain as much water. I think I've heard that in the past. And probably the other thing I've heard is, oh, you got a creatine load. And I definitely have a story about creatine load.
Me too. I have a funny one too.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on those two questions?
You know what? I was trying to bring that up. I'll let you gentlemen talk, because I think there was something that shows I'll get you the. I don't like to make stuff up, so I'll get the exact info.
I'll
What's your
tackle
experience, Eric?
well, let me tackle the water retention one first, and then I'll tell you my funny story. Creatine doesn't, it draws water into the muscle cell. It's kind of a myth. People think you take creatine and make your hold water. It draws water into your muscle, which is a very good thing. So yeah, you might gain a couple of pounds on the scale. You'll look fuller, but it does not put water between the muscle and the skin. That's what would make you look bloated or soft. It doesn't.
Evan, do you hear that, Evan?
All right, so here's my funny creatine story. So I took the very first creatine ever out in the market, EAS Phosphagen. I remember buying it. I went to a GNC and bring it home, right? The bottle says to load it, take 5 grams a day, 4 times a day for the first, whatever it was, 5 or 7 days. I don't remember. And I was about to go to the gym and I was so excited to get this supplement that I was like, fuck it. I'm going to take all 20 right now. I need this for my workout.
Oh my God.
I take it.
Oh no!
I drive to the gym with my buddy, literally do one warm-up set, and I was in the toilet pretty much the rest of the workout.
You lost your beans.
Pissing out of my butt. Yeah, it was rough. I do not recommend the 20 grams. At one time.
You did better than me.
Oh.
My creatine load story, and I remember the product they took to do it, and I was like so excited about it. There was a unique product, and they made some great stuff back in the day. Nature's Best Pure Create, and it was almost like the packets that were out there for Metrex, but this was creatine, and I was loading creatine powder with this product to do the 20-gram load, and I did that. I think it was like 5 days of like 20-gram loading to saturate your muscles and whatnot. And I actually developed a bout of gastritis from it. And to Eric's point, at least he was able to relieve himself in the bathroom. Gastritis, if anyone's had it, is like a stomach ache that's like a sharp, like knife stomach ache pain that won't go away until you find a way to get it treated medically. And I was just keeled over. I couldn't eat anything. Anything that I ate is an irritated stomach lining. So anything I ate irritated as well. I had to get some medication, like coat the lining of my stomach. So for those of you who are thinking about loading, definitely be careful. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It is, gastritis is like horrible. But back to the benefits of it, definitely if you kind of take, Jay's recommendations on how to take it and what to take, as well as Eric's, you're going to find some fullness. You're going to find an extra gear, maybe some extra strength, in your workout. Definitely worth trying. And there's so many forms between powder and ready to drinks. Sometimes chews. Love the chews.
Very convenient.
Yeah, that they are.
Little animal plug. There you go.
Yeah.
Tasty
No, but it is. It's not even a plug. It's great. Anyone should try it. They're fantastic. They really are.
So Jay, is there any new research on creatine timing? From what I understand, you could kind of take it any time of day as long as you're taking it consistently. Is there anything that says there's a better time than another to take it?
I don't believe so. Again, luckily I've been able to attend a couple lectures with Rick Kreider, who's like the leading researcher on creatine. And usually the takeaway is there's no specific timing. Just take it. You need to, saturate your creatine stores. But timing, I think, is more of a myth, I guess, at this point. You could do creatine loading. I think that is still acceptable if you want to quickly saturate your creatine stores the first week or so if you haven't been using creatine. So I think that's still a legit thing to do, creatine loading. What is it? The 4 servings of 5 grams spaced throughout the day, not all at once like Eric.
Space them out.
So make sure, I would say, leave quite a few hours in between each dose.
Yeah, so creatine's not a thing that works immediately, like Jay was saying. Your body stores it and then uses it. It's not like caffeine where it just uses immediately.
Yeah, got to build up. But I was looking up because I have the studies in the background here. The bloating thing is sort of a myth. It does cause potential water retention, but that's actually good because it brings it to your muscles. But in terms of any bloating that's in your stomach, that would be back in the day. I think what happened, Kris, and maybe you experienced this, the creatine monohydrate back in the day was inferior. It wasn't really
As pure.
like now it's pretty much 99.99% creatine monohydrate. Back in the day, you're lucky if you're getting it, right? Because the GMP guidelines weren't put into place back then, but maybe you're getting 80%.
That's
70%.
true. I never thought of that.
So yeah, it wasn't the fact that creatine, because I think creatine got a bad rap because of that. All that inferior stuff in the past made people feel like they were bloating or that there was some other issue happening. But if you get good creatine, you shouldn't get those bloating side effects. It would be usually from inferior creatine from way back in the day.
Okay.
But,
Really good stuff to know.
Everyone take it. If you're not taking it, take it. You don't even have to take animal, though I would suggest it because I know it's tested, but I would recommend taking creatine over. It would be my number one on my list.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
I would buy that before I bought a pre-workout if I was
Absolutely.
on a budget.
Yep. I agree.
That is definitely a valid point. And to all those who are watching or listening to this, between Jay and Eric, there's 35, 40 years in the business almost of working with this product. So you're speaking from experience, you're speaking from the back of the house as far as manufacturing to the front of the house, which is the effects they get in the gym. Me, I've been selling it or been using it since, it came out with all different products. And that's why I shared my experience. If I could prevent someone from overdoing it, then hopefully it was worth the watch. But they're definitely worth taking the supplement in all the forms that we spoke of. It's worth a shot. And I know we wanted to talk about what else is trending going on right now.
Are we gonna tackle the Liver King?
Buddy.
The Liver King.
Let's talk about the Liver King. So I mean, I would think most of the people that are on social have heard of him, but just to give a quick little synopsis, there's this guy that's on social, on TikTok, on Instagram, and he's called the Liver King, and he's sitting there eating raw liver and raw testicles, and he lives by his 9 ancestral tenets.
He added a 10th recently, I heard.
Yeah, never had a shirt on. He's pretty jacked, right? He's in good shape. So he's all over the place, and he does own a supplement company. He owns several, actually. Makes a lot of money on them. And he's going on podcasts, and he becomes super popular. And people are asking him point blank on the podcast, have you taken steroids? Unequivocally denies it time after time after time. And I don't think anybody really cared if he did or he didn't, but I don't think people like if you lie about it, especially if you lie and use that to market your products.
That's right. Yeah.
So he got exposed. It came out, and somebody had emails from him to a trainer where he was trying to hire a trainer, and he admits not only that he's taken a whole boatload of steroids, he's spending $12,000 a month on growth hormone, which is just
that's
unheard of. But here it is. He puts he put his diet in these emails and his training, and he wasn't eating raw liver nor testicles. He wasn't even just eating primal foods. He was taking maltodextrin and dextro shakes to get his weight
They
up.
work.
In his training.
Carbs. You got to get your carbs, guys.
Basically the whole thing is a facade. And he admitted, he said that he had planned on trying to get 1 million followers. He put this in the emails as well. He's hiring a camera crew, and his whole goal is to get 1 million followers to help sell his supplements. So this all comes out in a wash. It's all over the place. It blew up. If you're on social, you would have seen it. And then I was curious to see how he was going to handle it. And he comes out and he gives it a weird apology, very, very weird apology. He does admit it, which is great, right? Yeah, kind of had to at that point, but at least he admits it. But then he goes on and he lies right away in the apology, the first minute. As soon as he says I took steroids, he said, I never thought I'd be this popular or this much in the spotlight. And that's a flat out lie, because he said in the emails his whole goal was to put this fake persona out there and blow up on social media, right? So he lies in that. And then he goes into this diatribe where he's he did it to help people who are suffering and people who commit suicide, right? To make them feel good about themselves. Wow. So he sacrificed for people. He took the steroids to sacrifice for people. It was the fucking weirdest apology I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was weird. Life. And the audio, listen to that damn audio.
You're right.
Has it so low and this I don't know, distorted. Like to me,
Yeah,
the
all
whole
his
thing
other
was-
videos are highly
Yeah.
curated videos, right?
and then you
highly
have distorted
produced.
audio.
And then like bad audio on that one.
Yeah,
It was just
Really?
weird, man.
really interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? So there was a lot of backlash. Obviously, he took a lot of public backlash, but at the end of the day, I don't think it really is going to stop him or slow him down. He's still going to sell a ton of his supplements. People are still going to buy him. It's such a weird. We just live in a weird time. When I first saw him, I thought it was funny and entertaining, but then I started seeing people's comments where they're like believing in this guy and like they're going to start eating raw
Yeah.
stuff. And there's a bunch of accounts on TikTok of these guys who are eating raw liver and raw testicle to kind of be like him. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing, man?
Yeah,
Hey,
it's been around. Chris, you probably remember like all those organ supplements have been around since the 80s. I remember looking in our archives at Universal, and there was like raw testes and raw brain, like liver tablets have been around forever.
definitely
Vince
the
Caranda
desiccated,
brought that.
desiccated liver tablets for sure. And, you know, the guy behind me right here, you know, eating raw eggs, you
Yeah.
know, everyone started doing that when they saw that. I never, I'm trying to think of the famous boxer, had a great rivalry with Manny Pacquiao. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank, but
You're not
he
talking
would
about
be,
Mayweather.
no, it's not Mayweather. Juan Marquez, unbelievable Mexican fighter. I mean, probably some of the best ESPN classic fights you could watch are the fights between Manny Pacquiao and Juan Marquez, and just if you watch them, there was great training documentary on how they each trained and how they each ate. And Marquez was actually known for re-drinking his urine. He felt that he had so many nutrients in his urine that he would re-drink it. And if you can find it on YouTube, there's footage of this.
I think I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard that
There's
story.
when HBO used to do 24/7, which was a phenomenal documentary about boxing. Phenomenally done. Lieb Schreiber was the narrator of it.
Great. Those were great.
And really kind of re-sparked my interest in boxing for that whole wave. And you see this guy like, you know, sitting to the side, kind of faded camera, and he's drinking something, a little blur, you know, and he would brag about it. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't care how much I love you. I'm not following what you're doing. Not on that.
And look, liver is good. Liver's nutritious. Meat's good. Don't eat it raw. Don't make it your only part of your diet. Let's use a little freaking common sense. Everybody's got to take shit to the extreme, but the point of that whole thing is like, people will do extreme things on social media to get attention, to sell you shit. Let the buyer beware. You know, not everybody selling stuff online is bad and unethical, but there are unethical people out there, unfortunately, and they will take advantage of you. First thing I do, I'm on TikTok, I see somebody saying something like crazy and extreme, I go right to their profile. I'm like, what are they selling? And sure enough, every single time they got something in their bio that they're selling. Every time.
Yeah. There's another ulterior motive, if you will, right?
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, there are good people out there selling ethical stuff, but there's a lot of people that just going to take advantage. And this Liver King is just the latest in many people that have scammed the industry over the years. We've had that, unfortunately, as you know, in the supplement industry, a lot of black eyes of, you know, products that were either underdosed or products that were spiked with something illegal.
Yep.
I mean, so many times over the years, people that have taken advantage, and it's a shame, man.
Some very famous people in our industry, right? I won't name names.
Yeah, some people who.
I had a gentleman that used to buy. You remember the brand Ultimate Nutrition, right? You know, and that obviously that ended. That brand ended abruptly, but I remember that it was very well respected for a la carte supplements. People like buying the Vanadil sulfate from them, or they like buying. You know, they were really good with their raw kind of like line, if you will. And I used to have a gentleman come into the California GNC, and he would buy the whole shelf worth of bottles of desiccated liver from Ultimate Nutrition. Literally would spend $100-something on a couple of bottles. He's like, I take like 20 of these a day. He goes, it makes I'm an arm wrestler. It makes all the difference in the world. I'm like, all right. He said to take them. So I started taking them, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the smell of it, you know, it's different. Could I say there was a difference? From that particular thing, I don't recall. But yeah, there's a lot of people that believe in those organ, you know, foods.
They are nutrient dense. They are, you know, but it can't be your whole diet, and it shouldn't be your whole diet.
Yeah. I was
Balance.
guilty for a little while of overdoing Unilever tablets. Not that like for Universal, we had we still have Unilever tablets, but I was excessively doing it. I think I was taking like 40 a day because I heard Vince Caranda,
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
the one that brought like liver tablets to the market. And he was
Yeah.
like, "You got to take it with every meal. You got to take it all day long." That was too much. I think if you use, it to supplement with your meals, no problem. Like
Well,
you're
did you
getting
guys
extra.
did Universal see a little spike in liver sales recently because of the Liver King?
I don't know.
It's very
We're not
popular
really
now.
promoting Universal. We're actually going to be coming out. Breaking news: we're going to be
Oh.
coming out with a new Universal line. That's gonna, Animal's going to be our line that's focused on strength athletes. Universal is going to be brought into a line that's kind of like, I guess you could say like active wellness. So you'll find more wellness products in there.
That's a very smart strategy.
Versus just another hardcore bodybuilding line, right? Which we had for a long time. It's very hard to distinguish and focus on two brands that kind of do the same thing. So this will be a nice transition so that we can get into the active wellness space. It'll give some new opportunities.
It's extremely hard for a company to focus on more than one brand and do it right,
Yeah.
like execute it right.
Totally.
That could be kind of cool.
I'm gonna. Did you guys see Gymshark, the big clothing company, came out with a pre-workout?
I did.
That was. What do you say about that? That
I would-
label.
I would
That
name
label
it-
is horrible.
I would name it weak sauce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to Gymshark, you're a tremendous success. People love your
They are.
clothes. God bless you. Phenomenal. Applause. But don't sell yourself short with that formula. I just think I don't even know how that could be effective. I just thought it was terrible.
They're going to sell a lot. The average consumer doesn't know or understand the dosages. People are going to sell it because they like the brand.
Yeah, no, and you know what? Again, kudos to them. And I haven't tried it. Maybe if I tried it, every individual is different. Maybe you do feel something that you want to feel from it. But I just think if you got that hardcore of a customer following, that loyal of do the right thing and make a potent product.
Yeah.
Or efficacious anyway,
Some people said it was a pre-workout from another brand, ABE, All Black Everything, and just Gymshark put their label on it. That was already a formula that was out there.
What I got away too was they're not a US brand, so I was wondering if they've developed it also, like you said, if it's
I don't think
EBE,
it's sold in the US actually.
if it's an EU formula, they have different guidelines. So I know there's
That's a good point.
limitations
That's a
on
good point,
ingredients.
I
fancy
apologize if
packaging.
that's the case.
Again,
that's a
like
very good point.
I'm trying to be as rational as possible as I look at the information, but I know they're in the UK or in the EU. So it looks like an EU formula. And I know we, with our brands, Eric, over the years, trying to export to Europe, you can't sell your US formula. You have to make concessions for the European market. So we always formulate to the best of our ability to meet the highest that you can in the
I didn't
EU
know that
market.
as a customer, right? I actually thought maybe the products outside the US would be stronger, right? But it turns out not to be the case. Like Brazil, I don't know if it's still the case, but they limited like vitamin C to like 60 milligrams, right? In a serving, I think it was like something crazy like that.
Yeah, for Brazil, we had such trouble exporting to Brazil that we actually found a really good partner down there who makes the products for us, because it's easier if you have a partner. But the FDA equivalent is called Anvisa down there, and they're so strict. There's very few, like if you want to do a pre-workout or you want to do pump product, you're very limited. Like you can use vitamins, you can use creatine, and like maybe 5 other things. You're very limited because of their rules. So it's interesting in some of these markets. Some are okay, and others like Brazil is probably where you get really strict.
And Brazil, I went there in 2016 for Universal, went on a road trip, and we went into a couple of supplement shops, and they pay an exorbitant amount of money for American brands there. Like the Animal Pack was extremely expensive there for them. They got all the import duties and stuff. At the time, it was being made in the US and being shipped in there. So it was really expensive stuff.
I think that says a lot about how different countries and regions take the sports nutrition industry probably more serious than I think Americans. I think, with what's going on in, whether it's Germany or Poland or Asia or Brazil, like, I think when those customers buy supplements, like, they feel and take it as it's a lot more serious than what it really is, because it's almost like a luxury for them to buy. And I always say this to some of my friends when they see these products out there, and they're like, people still buy this, or people still do it. I'm like, I'll tell you right now, if I had to say, and Jay and Eric, you would know more about this than me, but my perception as a kind of a guy from the outside customer looking out or looking in, I think a lot of these customers look at this product as like, oh my God, this is like almost like gear. They feel like it's almost like it's in the 80s and 90s again. It's like that wave of supplements where everyone's like, oh my God, give me the protein powder, give me the the dibencazide, give me the B12, give me all those things. And I feel like that wave is still going on out there.
We got to get our buddy Lucas on the show as a guest.
Yes.
He lives in Poland. He works for one of the largest distributors in Europe. So his perspective on this stuff would be great. So we got to get him on.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we got to get him on. We'll give him a shout out. We'll tag him, right? And tell him.
Oh yeah.
Tell him when can he hop on.
He's on Poland time, so we got to figure that out.
That would be great to have him on.
I wonder if he'll be walking while he does the podcast.
We should have to get his.
That should be a requirement. Like, you have to be walking.
Yeah. Get his 60,000 steps a day.
Yeah, he's great. He's super passionate about the industry. Jay and I met him in Germany at FIBO a couple of years ago. Great guy, but he would have great perspective on this.
FIBO soon, right? It's,
yeah, April usually, beginning of April. You got the Arnold coming up beginning of March. Then you got FIBO in April. A lot going on.
Speaking of the Arnold, what do you guys think? A lot more names jumping in, putting their names in the hat.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be interesting. When the list first came out, it was like 8 people, and then it looked kind of like, maybe I don't want to say soft lineup, but a smaller lineup.
Yeah.
And now it's like Big Rammy just said he's going to do it, right?
I mean, between him, Walker, Andrew Jacked, I know they're trying to tempt Lunsford to do it. Whether he does it or not, I don't know. But I mean, you got some, Bonac, of course. You got, big names.
Sean Clarita's coming.
Clarita.
So I watched the podcast the other day, and Flex Wheeler was really strongly opinionated about Sean Clarita winning it, and how Sean is a better put together bodybuilder than Nick Walker, even though Nick Walker has him by 80 pounds. And 2 things I would say about that. I think they were criticizing too some of Nick Walker's posing ability. And I would say, I think Nick Walker is an excellent poser, especially for, the mass and the density that he has. I think he really holds his poses well. I mean, you could definitely tell he practices big time. But apples and oranges, right? Completely different physique. And then you look at Clarita, tipping at 180, and it's just like, hey, if you didn't know he was 180 and you looked at a picture of him, you'd think he's 240. I mean, the guy's amazing. I mean,
that's what I was going to say. In isolation, to me, Sean Clarita has a much better physique in isolation. Now, that being said, that could look very different when they're standing next to each other. And there is something to be said for size, and there should be some weight given to that, but it's not everything. So it's going to be super interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's turning out to be looking to be a pretty darn good show. And again, I'm sure prize money's got everything to do with that. And hopefully, it's a well-supported event. It's gone through a couple of tough years. So I'm looking forward to that. You guys coming with me? We're going to that or what?
Tempting.
Putting us on the spot.
Putting us on the spot. I gotta be.
I don't know. I would probably be more painful for me to spend $50 like on the live stream than to spend the money to actually go to the show and be there. But it's been a long time. Last time I was there was Veterans Coliseum. Veterans. Wow. Yeah, it's been a while. That Flex won that show when I went. And it was considered a smaller show that year too, but Flex was dominant.
I gotta grab my power cord real quick before my laptop shuts off. So
yeah,
keep talking.
No problem.
Kris, you're really thinking of going out there?
Absolutely. Yeah. I really, I want to, again, it's been a while. I want to experience it. I want to see what, all the other brands are doing, and just, maybe get a couple of lifts in, depending on the gym and who's there. I know there's a big to do with Ronnie, Cutler, Flex Lewis. They're all, come meet them, photo op, sign it. They're making, they actually had a really good reel. I think I shared it with you guys. I sent it to you on a text, and they had a really almost like that Gilco Productions reel, but it got you psyched when you were watching it. It was really, really well done. So yeah, I don't know if it would be, it's a long drive. I'd probably just fly there, but yeah, I do want to go.
Gym guys on the road.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there. Sorry. I do want to go. There may be an event for the Poor Power that weekend, so I can't commit right now.
Okay.
But I would love to if all things were equal.
Yeah, we were talking about doing the cage, but that's a lot of work to put together.
Who's we?
The
higher ups.
the animal team.
Oh, glad to hear that.
Yeah, me too. Because I honestly thought we'd never see it again.
CEO, yeah, they were all talking about what would it take. I don't think they realize what it takes to plan and put that together, because it's a lot of work.
If you need help, I have some experience in planning.
So we may call you in from the bullpen to consult.
Well,
Shorts and Scotto consulting we may need.
If they tune in and watch and hear it, well, one, thank you, and two, yeah, it would probably make a lot of sense for you guys to do it again, because that's just probably one of the most common questions I'm ever asked if I'm wearing my shirt in the gym or I'm talking about the brand. Oh yeah, you're the guys with the cage, or yeah, you got the cage event. Like, the cage event was in some cases more important than the Arnold. It was that kind of level, and obviously the pandemic got in the way of that.
Yeah.
But don't let that be the defining moment of when you fade out of it. I think you guys could bring it back. I think it would be extra special, and I think you would see a lot of benefits from it. And I think not only the bodybuilding community, powerlifting community, of course, but just the brand. And I think it just ups everyone else's game too, brand wise. I mean, you
so
guys
do
think,
this.
Yeah.
If we get more than 1,000 views on this video and 100 comments, whoever makes it this far in the video, for us to do the cage again, and we get those comments, I will guarantee it.
Wow.
Even if it means, I gotta answer to the higher ups.
That's a big guarantee.
Wow.
I hope it comes back, man. I've been to so many expos, and it's still
We're
the
talking
best.
about it.
It's
Yeah,
the
we're
best
talking about it.
experience I've seen.
I'm texting all my friends to click you right now.
No cheat. Must be organic. No, I'm just kidding.
And it would be big. It would be bigger than ever today because of the social media. TikTok wasn't around, and it would be bigger than ever.
Yeah. So I want to say, I think we're going to get back to shows this year. We won't start with the Arnold. We'll start after, maybe the Olympia.
Very cool.
Olympia is November 2nd to the 5th.
In Orlando this year.
In Orlando. And I think I just learned the Masters Olympia, especially watching our buddy's podcast on Sup Talk, Sean, they were talking about with Vinny and Rusty.
Oh, yeah.
That's in August, but it's in Romania. I didn't know that.
We road trip to Romania.
Yeah.
We have a friend, if he listens, Chris, I don't know how to say his last name.
Oh, yeah.
Chris.
I can't say it either.
I don't know how to say the last name.
We have friends all over the world, man.
He invited us.
Cool.
So thank you for the invite. Maybe we'll make it.
That'd be cool. Let's go. We won't go to the Arnold, Ohio, but we'll go to Romania.
We've been invited.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, please take advantage of Jay's commitment to get back to the cage, and like and subscribe, click. We appreciate everyone watching this. Again, hopefully we shed some extra knowledge or experience from what we deal with or what we've gone through, and just use it to your greatest advantage. And we hope to bring you more just candid, honest truthful feedback. So thank you, everyone. Look forward to the next podcast, and we got some great guests coming up too. So you're gonna love the content.
Good stuff, fellas.
Till next
Great
time.
guys.
Have a great weekend.
You as well. Thanks so much.
Okay, fellas. See you, everyone.
Stop recording.